This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team. The final score, Bromley 1, Wrexham 1. How many points are we going to squander? It's so frustrating. Andy Davis should have 3 back-to-back wins to start off his managerial career. And instead, again, we've got ourselves into a good position and not followed it through. Other results haven't hurt us, but still, we can't allow this to keep happening. Feels better than the Woking game. If I'm perfectly honest, the Woking game felt like we played against a bad team, dominated them, and then got a bit slack at the end. This game is frustrating because Bromley had a player sent off just before half-time. But despite that, and us then taking the lead, and despite the fact that the equaliser was a dubious penalty, Bromley clearly looked a cut above Woking in terms of opposition. They showed real spirit and when they were down to 10 men, and so in that respect it doesn't hurt quite so much as that Woking match, which really was, I think, a big missed opportunity. Having said that, 1 up against 10 men, frustrating. Anyway, let's go through matters. Wrexham fielded the same team again. Woking, and I'm going to call them that all through the game. I apologise. Bromley made some changes because they've been rotating their sides. They've been picking a half-strength side in the league matches to make sure they get through to the final FA Trophy, which they've achieved. And so they picked a strong side again, despite missing one key element. Probably their best player, Louis Dennis, who plays off the striker, has 13 goals in that position and is extremely dangerous. So I was rather pleased to see that on the team sheet. It was still Bromley who started the better, with a powerful 25-yarder from Handland, the striker, which was too straight, and Dunn was able to get down. He parried it back into the box rather, and Handland actually tried to get onto the rebound and was tackled as he attacked it by Pearson. But then Wrexham started to make chances, and really the pattern of the first half, in all honesty, Wrexham made the better chances, especially early on in the half. Bromley, I would say, probably would be happier about how the game went. They got the ball down better. They put Wrexham under pressure better. Meckie on the flank was ripping some interesting balls in. Luckily for Wrexham, he was on the left, and Kevin Roberts was able to really control him. But they asked questions, Bromley, and had some good approach play. But like I said, Wrexham started to carve out the opportunities. Firstly, a really good breakaway in the 5th minute from a Bromley long throw. Rutherford feeding it up to Quigley, who turned superbly, helped it on to Rutherford. His cross was blocked and spanned back to the edge of the area where Quigley tried a really difficult 20-yard volley. It was spinning up in the air and dropping in front of him, and he hit it stretching it to the hip height, and he got really good contact on it. His keeper went down, parried it, but the ball squirmed away from his wet hands, and Holroyd was just beaten to the rebound. From the corner, the ball was swung in towards the near post. Pearson jumped up, just about got a touch on it with his head, and flicked it on, to the frustration of Jennings, who was lurking behind him and was swinding his foot. I think he expected it to drop for him about 8 yards out, but Pearson rather took it away from him. Then there was a long spell in which Wrexham, as I said, looked quite threatening, especially when they're knocking the ball forwards, finding Holroyd and Quigley, but they were struggling to do so. Rutherford was the most likely source of creativity down the right-hand side. The midfielders a little bit deep and central, Davidicks rather peripheral, whereas Bromley were controlling possession more. Just before the half-hour mark, a contender would have been for Bromley's goal of the season. A wonderful move. Meckie on the left-hand side, switching the ball on the turn over to the right. It was picked up on the right-hand side by Higgs, who ripped in a pull-back cross from the goal line, and Porter met it with a wonderful volley running onto it and put it just wide of the right post. Dunn didn't even move. He had no chance of anticipating it. A fine move. It would have been a wonderful goal if it had been about a yard to the left. Within a minute, Wrexham going up at the other end, and an excellent move by Wrexham, ending with Rutherford swinging in, Roberts swinging in across, Quigley getting up and nodding the ball down, Holroyd 6 yards out, making good contact with it, a really good save to his left by David Gregory, the Bromley keeper, who then managed to get down as to the loose ball and just about beat Holroyd to it to make it a double save, smothering Holroyd's follow-up shot. So a real let-off for Bromley, and at that point we were starting to wonder if once again we were going to come up against a goalkeeper who was having a bit of a blinder. couple of minutes before the break, key moments happened. Firstly, a free kick 25 yards out for Bromley, squared to Porter. He struck a good strike. Dunn got down low to his right and parried it well. Wrexham got up the pitch from the resulting throw-in. Wedgbury jumped and flicked the ball on in the air. It was intercepted by Roger Johnson, the old Cardiff centre-back. A poor touch by him, the ball got away from him, and as often happens when the ball gets away from you, lunge to try and make it up, and he lunged with both feet off the ground and made contact with Wedgbury, who went flying. The referee was immediately surrounded by angry Wrexham players, and after a bit of contemplation decided he had to give Johnson a red card. Bromley now were livid, their fans were furious, but Bromley down to 10 men. That was the situation at the break. After lengthy treatment for Wedgbury, he was able to continue. The second half, Wrexham were hoping to impose themselves, but they didn't. Bromley were bold, didn't just park the bus, and quite frankly played some good football as they tried to go forwards. Hanlon was excellent up front, and quite early on in the second half they brought in Omar Bouguil, who is on loan from Forest Green. He spent the week in Lebanon. He was an unused substitute in Beirut in midweek when Lebanon played Malaysia in an Asian Cup qualifier. He got back in time, came on as a sub and made a real impact with his hard running. However, Wrexham, against the run of play, did get the lead. 6 minutes into the second half, they won a free kick on the right-hand side. Kelly stepped up, put a lovely ball in. Jennings did well to just step away from his man and away from goal, jumped and made a perfect leap and corkscrewing a header over the keeper and into the top left corner. Wrexham had the lead. Q delighted celebrations, and they had a glorious chance to make it 2-2 soon afterwards. Quigley turning nicely and spreading the ball to Rutherford, who made a purposeful run inside, got to the edge of the D, and then hit his shot too straight on his left foot straight at the keeper. A decent opportunity. The best chance to make it 2-0 came in the 63rd minute, and Wrexham's failure to take it was bounced back to haunt them very soon afterwards. It was a fantastic move. Wrexham one-touch stuff, passing it through the middle of the pitch, and in the end Kelly was sent one-on-one with the goalkeeper Gregory. Gregory committed himself early, going right. Kelly went the right direction, the other direction, but Gregory saved with his legs. Frustrating moment that. Even more frustrating when Bouguil burst straight down the other end of the pitch, down the right-hand side. He went shoulder to shoulder with Wedgbury, who ran into the box. Wedgbury, no, he did shove him a bit, I'm not going to deny it. The referee did not seem to give the penalty, but the linesman did, and the referee took the linesman's word and pointed to the spot. Wrexham were furious at this. I've seen the replays. I'm not convinced. I've got to be frank, I know I'm biased, but they're shoulder to shoulder. Wedgbury does give him a little bit of a shove. It feels a little beyond just shoulder to shoulder, and I get that is definitely the movement the referee doesn't like. But having said that, it's a physical contact game. It's not enough, I don't think, to give a foul. But the officiating was erratic throughout, and well, the ref pointed to the spot. Hanlon stepped up, sent Dunn the wrong way, and with 26 minutes left, Bromley were equal. I said Bromley were positive and did get on the front foot, but from now on they didn't so much. I'm reluctant to say park the bus, because they actually looked good on the breakaway thanks to Bouguil, as we'll get to in a moment. But Wrexham now started to monopolise possession. Roberts started getting very high at the pitch on the right, and Jennings on the left as well. Wrexham started making changes. Bowden came on up front, replacing Rutherford. Let's get my facts straight there. I beg your pardon, replacing Davidix, with Holroyd going out to the left-hand side. Franks came on the right to replace Rutherford, which is slightly surprising. And Wrexham eventually put Ainge on as well for Quigley, and really just started throwing everything at a deep Bromley defence in an attempt to break him down. The frustrating thing was Wrexham actually found a pretty good avenue down the right-hand side. When Franks got down there and Roberts overlapped, Wrexham often had a 2-on-1. When Franks came inside, Roberts often found himself with quite a bit of space, and they stood up some good balls in, especially to the far post, particularly to Ainge. But Wrexham just couldn't force that winner. Wedgbury putting in a good diagonal to the far post, a terrific leap by Holroyd to help it on, and Davidix bringing it down, and from a very tight angle hitting a powerful strike with his left foot. Keeper stood up well to save it. I must be honest, for a second I thought that even though he got a strong hand on it, he'd actually pushed it into his own net, but he hadn't. The corner came in, there was a bit of a scramble as the ball hit a defender and dropped in the proximity of Sean Pearson, but he wasn't able to scoop it in. Then Kelly, frustrated no doubt about missing that one-on-one, getting the ball, hitting a magnificent strike with his left foot from 25 yards out, arcing it in. It powerfully struck the junction between post and bar, and indeed was so powerfully struck that it bounced straight back out and landed outside the penalty area. Wonderful strike. Didn't get the reward it deserved, and 3 minutes later Wrexham hitting the post again. A really good breakaway. Jennings carrying it down the left hand side, feeding a ball which Kelly had to scurry to get to. He beat his man, helped her out to the right hand side. Franks tried to drive across the face of the 6-yard box. It hit the left back Tyrone Sterling, hit the near post and went behind for a corner. But as I said, Bromley did have a threat on the break through Bugiel, who in the 78th minute burst forward and 25 yards out hit a powerful strike which Dunn got down to his left to save, and then a minute later went very close. Rees, another substitute, feeding it to Bugiel, who cut in from the right and drove a powerful shot across the face of goal which went just wide of the left post. Bugiel turning in front of the superb Wrexham fans who packed out an open terrace in freezing conditions and constant rain. Bugiel with his head in his hands as the Wrexham fans laughed. As we went into the last 10 minutes, Wrexham continued to press, continued to push on, and went close 2 more times, both times with those aforementioned crosses to the far post for Ainge to challenge. First Franks putting in the ball with lovely shape, Ainge getting up well. It was an awkward header. He had to stretch away from goal and use his neck muscles to pound it in towards goal. He got it inside the far post, but the keeper did well to get across and hold it. And then with 5 minutes left, Roberts standing up across, Ainge again contorting himself in close range and planting a header which went narrowly wide of the left post. It was frustrating. Wrexham worked hard. They really battled for this, but it was not to be. For further analysis, have a listen to what Paul Jones and I had to say on Callan FM.
Well, Paul, what do we say about that? I mean, the last time we commentated together was the Woking game. I left that with a very frustrated feeling because we didn't take advantage of our domination of a poor side. This is different. Bromley showed superb spirit, but the fact of the matter is Wrexham were 1 up against 10 men and let it slip.
Yeah, we 1 up against 10 men, and we just, you know, we just didn't push on as far as the game was concerned. We were sitting back, and Bromley worked on the basis, well, the best form of defence is attack. We're a goal down. I'd like to see the penalty again as far as the highlights are concerned, but you can't actually say that they didn't deserve it, because they'd been the form team in the second half, and it was almost as if, well, we had 10 players. Well, you could almost say we possibly did with Deverdix until 5 minutes before he went off. That'll be edited out with it, yeah.
We're live, Paul, so no.
I'm talking about the highlights. But to be fair, we were poor. It's almost as if, here we go, 1-0. They're not going to score against us. And as you said in the commentary, our centre-back pairing today wasn't at their best. And it's almost as if, because one thing which you really need when you've got a 4G pitch, you need pace. And our centre-backs are good. They're good positionally, they're good at seeing the game, but they don't have a lot of pace. And you had Bromley players like Hanlon, like Meki and Bagali when he came on, who have got pace and were running at the centre-backs, and that caused panic. And we do keep still trying to play nice, pretty but non-effective football, whereas Bromley were playing attractive football, but they were getting the ball forward time and time and time again and putting us under pressure. And it only seemed to be in sort of the last 5 or 10 minutes when we suddenly thought, oh, hey up, let's get the ball wide. But having got the ball wide, we then decided, oh, well, we'll pass it back across the front of the box to try and get it to the other side. So it was back two. And as there was no real pace to doing that, we weren't pulling them out of shape. And Ainge, when he came on, won 3 or 4 headers. Finally, he was struggling to get them on target, but he was causing he was being a nuisance in the box, and that should have been worked on more. We should have had more balls in the box. We should have had, as soon as the ball out wide, hit the ball, hit the cross, because if you hit the first defender who's tracking across to you, there is every chance he's going to spin out either to attacking throw or a corner. And we showed with our corner, when we put the corners in, we put them under pressure, but too many times it was spending sort of a minute two passing it back across, and then when the cross came in, it was an easy one for the keeper, because by that stage their back four and their keeper had themselves organised. They didn't have to come out, they didn't have to move, they just had to hold a position, and we played right into their hands. I mean, the 1-1 draw doesn't help them at all, and for us to be, safe in a playoff position, it doesn't particularly harm us either. But that game was there for the taking.
You're absolutely right, Paul. We got 20 seconds of the broadcast left. Going to name a man of the match, or?
Yes, I think I can. I mean, someone you've mentioned, he did very well on the right-hand side. My man of the match is Roberts, so expect him to be dropped for the next game.
This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team.